Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Nurul Anisa, studi ID number 20305002. Well, I will explain about the journal Vocabulary Safe Collection Strategy. This is effective to improve vocabulary mastery achievement on senior high school students. Mastering vocabulary is important in getting to know any language. This is due to the fact vocabulary is built into all elements of the language. To be specific, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. While not having sufficient vocabulary, this must be not possible to gather proper abilities in any language skill. Thinking about the significance of the mastering vocabulary, it's out to learn using the shape table in strategies that student vocabulary mastery can be stepped forward. Mainly at the senior high school level is Bawau, Sulawesi. This is supported by Coffee for NAV 2019, which argued to the use a learning method is a very essential in the process of vocabulary acquisition. And this is highly dependent on the effort of the learning method for vocabulary are a subject of language learning strategies that have required a great deal of attention 1970 when it comes to learn what independently a word strategy is a specific international instrument and method of going about the recovery are explicitly and as well as independent word learning abilities needed to see. By knowing the problem faced by the student at SMA Negeri 4 Bawau above, the research suggests one strategy to overcome it. Research as the self-vocabulary collection. Strategy to educate vocabulary in case people vocabulary fluent. The VVS turned into evolve with the Nurul into 2005. It appealed inside the classroom of 7th grade, high school and graduate students. Antonexi et al. 2014 stated that the VVS goal is to provide a long-term incentive for pupils to acquire new words by raising their interest in integrating new topic words into their educational vocabulary over time. As students as VVS, they maintain their student approach, location ideal word to use, explain their vocabularies, and become word meaningful. Maritim 2015. Moreover, Hargat in Putri 2012 indicated that there are 3 benefits to adopting VVS, making a connection among new words and their meanings, growing pupil interest in new phrases, and growing student passion for learning and the invention of latest words. Evidently, VVS makes the student method more exciting and fun for the pupil. Students are not going to be bored throughout the interest, as they will not simply be asked to replace questions related to the textual content without any coaching. However, may also be asked to examine the text on the way to educationally identity and the important word. In addition, the involvement of teacher in the supervising student by activities has a large effect on the capability of students to examine correctly. By looking at the explanation about this research comments with the problem as follows. Is there any significant difference of vocabulary mastery achievement between who are taught using VVS and those who are not on grade 11 student at SMA Negeri 4 Babau. Therefore, this research aims to find out whether the application of PVS is better to improve the student. Vocabulary mastery achievement dan a functional method at SMA Negeri 4 Babau. This research is conducted on grades for 11 students at SMA Negeri 4 Babau. The research is conducted on grade for 11 students at SMA Negeri 4 Babau. It takes 2 classes as the sample. Its classes consist of 30 students, so the total number of samples is 60 students. Since this research uses a test as the research instrument, the research administrator the pretest first, does the treatment, and finally administer the post-test. 30 items of the multiple choice must be answered by the student to find other achievement before and after the implementation of PVS in mastering vocabulary. The result of each dashboard in experimental and control class are explained below. To know the student initial vocabulary mastery, the pretest is administered. The data obtained from the pretest are then analyzed using descriptive settings, such as PSS. The result of the analysis obtained the mean score that is 62.83. The standard deviation is 7.54. The minimum score is 4500 and the maximum score is 7500. The above table shows the score obtained on the Mind Renat U test. The score is used to decide with her or not the hypnosis of this study in accept or reject. There are defects. Hypnosis is a significant difference in vocabulary mastery between students who study the use of the self-collection vocabulary approach and those who learn using the conventional approach and who there is no sectional difference. In vocabulary fluence between students who learn using the self-cumulative in vocabulary strategy and people who are taught using the conventional method. The outcomes which have been over in the research describe the pre and post this research in each the experimental class and the control class. The experimental classing touch using a vocabulary self-collection approach, which is the control class is touch using the conventional approach. The data exhibit that there is a development in the performance of the student in the mastery of vocabulary in the experimental class that can be seen within the development of the average rating of as much as 1960 points. For assessment in control class, the mean post-test score is 11.50 points better than the pretest. These outcomes also are supported by the end result of the end-kind test that discover the effectiveness of a very approach. The experimental class is assessed as moderate at the same time as the control class is assessed as poor. Even though this research is just focused on the student vocabulary mastery achievement towards VVS, which the purpose of VVS is to enable the long term. As a question of vocabulary to the 2006. but some research also proved that PVS is effective on student vocabulary learning motivation and behaviors. Simbulan et al. 2020. To motivate students to learn vocabulary such they do not feel bored and enjoy the class, Mandarasi 2013 and actively join the learning Mainingsi 2015. The research support the statement from Tompkins 2010 that VVS is a means of intrinsically motivating learning to build academic and specialist vocabulary, primarily based on the results of the data analysis as provided formally within the descriptive analysis, supported through the hypnosis test and the effectiveness test. This research concludes that there are significant differences in the achievement of vocabulary proficiency among students. Adults are taught using self-taught vocabulary collection strategies and those who are taught the conventional approach. It might be seen inside the average scores of the post-test in which inside the experimental classes is 79.679. This is categorized as good. This means that students gain a awesome common of vocabulary after being taught using the vocabulary self-collection strategy. For contrast, the mean post-test score in the control class is 69.83 and this classified as fail. It reveals that the students have an appropriate achievement in vocabulary mastery after being taught using the conventional method. Moreover, the results of the efficiency test conclude that the vocabulary self-connection approach is greater effect than the conventional approach. From the end results of the endgame test, this might be regarded that the mean score within the experimental classes for 7.75 and percent is this is to 5. 11% within the control class, oversaving the result of each group. This research suggests to us the vocabulary self-collection strategies in teaching vocabulary, since this is better to improve student vocabulary mastery achievement than the conventional method. The objective of this research was to find out whether there was a significant difference in vocabulary mastery between students who were taught using vocabulary self-collection strategies and those who were taught using a conventional method. This research used a quantitative approach with this experimental method of word-selective purpose quiz experimental design. The student involved as a sample of this research collection collect using the cluster sampling technique. The instrumental used was a test including pre-test and post-test data were analyzed using man-with-net-u test. The research indicate that the score of ASIM-6 to Thailand was a 0.001, which was fewer than a 0.05. It means there was a significant difference in vocabulary mastery between students who were taught using vocabulary self-collection strategy and those who were taught using the conventional method. Furthermore, based on the results of the ongoing test, this was found that the vocabulary self-collection strategy was more efficient than the conventional method. Okay, that's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.